Yeah, good, Kuldeep.
All right. So, Deepesh, am I good to start?
Just a second, Jiva, do you want to introduce Kuldeep or?
Yep, yep. So we are recording, right? Okay.
Yeah, recording
Welcome all.
started.
Welcome once again. We are very thankful that you are able to join the session during this public holiday. I know it's not easy, but still you're able to do that. And we just completed 3 sessions, and there are lots of exciting sessions from MVPs and other industry experts, technology experts, who's going to present the session. And stay tuned and feel free to ask your question. Kindly drop your question in the chat window. We'll address it later once Kuldeep completes the session. There will be 10 or 15 minutes for the question and answer sessions. So yeah, so Kuldeep is a Microsoft Business Application MVP, and as he said, he is an expert in project service automation. He's well known for his expertise in PSA. So this topic is going to be for today is Scrum project management using the power of PSA combined with DevOps. To you, Kuldeep.
Thank you, Jiva. That was a wonderful introduction. Welcome all to the session. And it's been great since morning. We are doing and learning so many new things. This May 1st, Labor Day, what and where else could we have invested this time on the lockdown? I also got this opportunity on this day to speak about PSA, some knowledge about project management using PSA, how we do Scrum with it, and which tool we use for doing Scrum. And I have selected DevOps as my tool. So in my demonstration, I'm going to be showing PSA as well as DevOps as a tool and how we do Scrum along with it. So I don't know how many in the audience knows what is project service automation. So guys, if you want to unmute yourself and say yes or no, I will understand what is the how many people know about it or don't know about it. So I can go in that depth.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
No.
okay, fair enough. I hear no. All right.
Yes.
So I will first start with a little introduction about what project service automation is. Project Service Automation is a robust PM app, project management app that enables project managers to manage their projects well. It not only helps the project managers, but it helps the sales team to rightly manage their leads to opportunity to quotation to their contract cycle. This is normally the sales cycle that happens, which ultimately integrates with the projects. It also helps the accounting team do their invoicing and journal entries for the projects that we execute. So it seamlessly integrates 3 departments, basically the project management department, the sales departments, and accounting department. So what I'm going to do is, without wasting much time, I'm going to be showing you the demo. It's a great demo. I'm not going to be showing you the live demo. I've captured good screen captures from the tool with which you will be able to understand. Otherwise, it will be a 3 hours long demo, which I'll have to show you of PSA. So in the demo, first, I'm going to be capturing the sales cycle of how to create the opportunity, then create the quote out of it, and then the contract. Then we'll move to project management and resource scheduling. Then we'll see how the time and expense entry happens on PSA. And then we'll see a bit of how the invoicing happens. All right. So let's start first with the sales cycle. So in order to launch the project service application in D365, you got to be logging onto your environments. Click on this arrow and see this project service app. Click on that app and you are launched there. The first thing that you start with is by creating an opportunity. That's the first thing that comes to the sales team is let's say we have a 7Cs team shipping company, which has to do a CRM implementation. They came in the contact and they wanted to do the CRM implementation. So I went here, clicked on the opportunity, filled out the detail of opportunity, the topic. I had an account created for them in the system. I had a contact who contacted me, the contracting unit, the currency, the price list was already set in the system. for them. Now, what is a price list is there is an already agreed price list between the system that we set in this. Like, let's say if I'm going to be giving developer at X amount of rate, or senior manager at X amount of rate, or in case not developers, if we have some products that we are going to be selling it out to them, the products are listed in this price list with some rates predefined in the system. All right, and then we have some estimated revenue that we think that this project might derive us, and what is the estimated close date that this opportunity might close. So this is the basic opportunity form that we fill it out. Post the opportunity is filled out, we move further, and let's assume the contact has asked us to submit a quotation based on the initial discussion. So how do we do that in the system? In the business process flow that you see on the top, we click down and then we have a create button from the opportunity itself to create a quotation. So when you click on create, what happens is it picks up all the basic information from the opportunity and puts it in the quotation. So you don't have to re-enter all the basic information of which the company was, what was the opportunity from where it came, what was the price list and stuff like that, except a couple of fields that will be asked to you. What is the requested delivery date? Now, what is this requested delivery date is that when do you think approximately that the project might end? And for all the quotation that you create, there is always an expiry date that you put in. So you put in the quotation expiry date over here. So these are the basic details that you fill in. Rest all comes from the contact and account information over here. The next what happens is you get inside the quote to prepare the quotations, and so you click on the quote lines over here. When you click on that, you go inside and create the header of the quotation. The header is okay. The 7C's CRM implementation is what you're going to do now. The billing method is fixed price. There are two types of projects that happens. First is the fixed price, and then is the time and material. Fixed price is basically you agree on some milestone, let's say 25% on the UAT, then the 50% on go live, is some milestones that you fix up, and then that is how your billing method is decided. And TNM, time and material, is like you will bill every 1 week or 2 weeks or a month, and then as much amount of time that is utilized will be invoiced, is the concept in time and material. So PSA caters to both the billing methods. Now there's an opportunity here to create the project when you are building the quotation. Sometimes salespeople will not interfere in what the project looks like. They will just need to create the quotation and just say this is not my job. But here we have an opportunity for them to create a project also. So let's assume we are creating a project. So we click on the new button over here. There is a quick create box over here that comes up. We fill in all the details. What is the name of the project? Is it a template? Is it a template? Meaning we also can predefine some templates of the projects, so that when you just select those templates, you need not have the tasks put in manually. It's just some adjustments that you will need to do. Who's the project manager? The calendar template. The calendar template is one of the beautiful features that PSA has brought in. Is, let's say we work multi locations globally and we have offices in many locations. So let's say we have UK who starts their day 4 hours later than what India starts, and US is like 12 hours difference generally. So every location has their employees and they start their working times based on which location they work on. Every location has their times off at different time zones. Like we have Labor Day here in India today. It doesn't mean it must be a Labor Day out in UK or Australia or United States. So all those constraints can be defined in the calendar template. And when you select a particular calendar template, it actually defines those rules on those particular projects that have been that has been created over here. You put on the estimated start date, estimated. So it is an estimation. All right. We're just estimating it. We don't know what is going to be the actual start date for the project. What is the estimated labor cost and stuff like that? Can we put it up over here? You save it. Your project is right over here. You see this number that has come up over here. I'll show you how that number has come up over here. Post this, since this is a screen capture, this number has come up over here, but initially it is 0. And how this comes up is with this header, we need to now tell what the quotation is actually going to be consisting of. So we build the quote line details. So when we click on the quote line details, this is how the grid that comes up, and we keep on adding one line that we do. And that is basically, let's say we are going to be doing the requirement gathering, the project management, the development, the UAT and stuff like that with the individual quantities. And so let's say we are adding what go live is going to be taking up. The go live is a time taking task, which is going to be a developer's effort. Now what this role plays in importance here is, you remember we had selected a price list. So we had developer with some X amount of rate per hour that was set in that price list. And we said this developer is going to be taking 50 hours of time to take this project go live. So it is 50 into that amount of rate that developer was there in the price list will be coming up, and that line will show up that amount. So internally, all this hours multiplied by what role
Kuldeep,
it's going to be playing. Yeah.
Apologies for stopping you. Kuldeep, can you please wait for a minute or so, because a few of the folks are facing issues in joining the meeting. So we are just advising them to leave the app, restart it and join again. Kindly give like a minute or two. Sorry to stop you.
Sure. No problem.
Guys who are facing the issue, please, it's time to restart and try whatever you wanted to, please.
Then if you guys have any questions, I can always handle them and can be the filler.
So far, no questions, Kuldeep.
Okay, fantastic.
So there is one question from Vikar. So saying how this is different from project server template.
Project server template.
Yeah.
So it is, so as in when you see the entire application, it's kind of a mini ERP that is there, which has a lot of functionalities. The template, it's not just that template. This project server template does invoicing. It doesn't take care of your opportunity connected with the projects. And then, so now multiple departments are connected by this application. I don't think that is somewhere which is there provided by project server templates. Does that
Thank you. Thank you, Kuldeep. And there's one more question from Mr. Anil Shah. Yeah. So any way to improve quotations with Canvas app?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good question. So we see there are a lot of clicks that has been shown up till now. We have yet reached half from opportunity to quotation. There are a lot of steps that needs to be remembered, and I know it is not very simple. We saw a session from Prashant Shukla, which was just a session before this, and he showed us what Canvas apps can do in terms of improvising the look and feel, as well as easing the things, since stuff has moved on to CDS and a lot of things can be done by flows also. So with Canvas app integrated with flows, all these steps can be reduced to just a couple of clicks. Let's say you don't need to create the quotation header and then the quotation details manually. You can write flows and on a single click, the quotation header and the details can automatically come up based on what type of project you are doing. So, you know, Canvas app definitely plays a major role in terms of that. And I can, I don't know whether time permits. If time permits, I will definitely be able to show you what I have done for that. We have already done for it. And as we are in-house using this application day in, day out, it makes sense that Canvas app actually plays a major role here.
There is three more questions. Before that, Deepesh, shall we proceed with the question and answers, or let him proceed with the sessions? Because I don't see any more people having issues with respect to joining. I'm not sure whether they haven't joined it or they're able to join it.
It's up to Kuldeep and you. I'm ready to dedicate 10 minutes from my session for sure, right? It's going to take longer, I'm aware. So if it has to be more interactive, you can club questions every now and then, Kuldeep, up to you. Or if you want to, I don't see nobody's pinging anymore for the issue with joining, so we can continue on that.
I feel we should continue and take up the questions in the end. So the flow remains intact. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So rehashing where we were trying to build quotation line details. First we build the header and now the details. So I guess I was explaining how the rates sum up. So all these rates build in with the roles prices multiplies and comes up on the header that we saw right here. So this quoted amount is the calculation based on what I just told you. All right. So when this is done, this is how the grid looks and all the quotation line details are present over here. Next is, based on your project type, we have, this was a fixed bid. So we have milestones that we need to define. And we have 4 milestones, which are equal milestones. We can name them correctly over here, but when the system generates the milestone, you can click on it. And based on your billing frequency, your billing start date, and your project end date is how the periodic milestones automatically sets. Undoubtedly, you can always change these milestones based on your flexibility, and you can always reconstruct as per what your agreements change or are there. All right, so let's assume this is on documentation, this is on development, this is on UAT, and this is on go live. So the amounts are right over here that you can invoice the customer on the invoice schedule. Right. So let's say your quotation is ready. So we are back on the quotation summary page and everything looks good. You submitted the quotation. You extracted a nice report out of this. You can actually extract a report, and I don't think I have that screenshot over here. But yes, there is a feasibility to bring out the quotation report, submit it to the customer. And then if everything moves great, let's take a positive scenario. Customer says, yes, I'm willing to move ahead. What you guys do is mark it closes 1. So when you mark it closes 1, you have an order that is converted from a quotation and all the details from quotation comes up onto the order. So you don't have to do manually any import from quotation to order. That's the beauty. And order is something what we call it as a contract also. All the payment terms, your invoicing schedule, the project requested delivery date, the opportunity, and which quote it is linked to is all mentioned over here. So technically there is 0 to no work on the contract that you need to do, except last minute change that the customer might ask for before signing the contract is something that can be changed over here. But generally I have seen that nobody changes when the contract is signed between the customer. So when the customer is, we are signing the contract, we hit the confirm button over here on the top. Till then you see the fields are open to change. And as soon as you click on confirm, things are locked down over here and you can't do any further change. So the status of the contract also changes to confirmed. All right. So this was all about the sales cycle from opportunity to quote to contract. Now the sales team says, my job is done. Project manager, you please take over now. So now then we will look into the project management and resource scheduling of how this has been taken care of. So what does the project manager do is when the contract is marked as confirmed, the project manager receives a notification that yes, the project is won and now it's your time to turn up and start building out the project plan and start allocating the resources on the project. So the start point for the project manager is on the contract. He will go on the contract and check the related projects. So he will click on the related projects. When he click on the related projects, there was a project that was already created, if you remember. And if there is no project created, what he can do is he can click on add new project, which will add a project which is tied to this particular contract. Now, when you click on that particular project, you can click on the schedule tab. Schedule is like building up the work breakdown structure of your project, where you have lot of tasks that you can add, the project management, requirement gathering, development, UAT, go live. All those tasks can be added with the efforts, the start date, end date. You can add the predecessors to ensure which tasks goes in first and second is following by what time and like that. The duration is mentioned over here. Next, what you can do is add the resources over here who are going to be working on each task. So your team is ultimately set. And the next tab is what your team shows like. You have all those team members that were on the project is shown up over here. Their efforts are getting added up and they show that Kuldeep is required for 150 hours on the project. Subhash is required for 275 and likewise. So you have all that set up in the team. Next tab is a resource assignment tab. And if, let's say, project manager wants to see which resource by role is looking how by week. So let's say Kuldeep is 40 hours allocated in this week. This week he's allocated for 40. What about Subhash, and when is he busy and when is he free? So this view gives us a very good analysis of which resource is free at what time. And next is a resource reconciliation tab. Resource reconciliation is a beautiful way of allocating the resource then and there itself. So let's say Kuldeep needs to be allocated between 8th April to 12th of April. So he will show -8. -8 means there is a deficit and there is an availability for Kuldeep to be booked on that day for 8 hours. And he is required for 8 hours on that project, but he is not yet booked. Hence it is -8. Now, let's say if we want to book it right then, and I'm convinced that I'm going to be working on 8 hours for this project on those dates. So how do I go ahead and make my booking? So I'll select all those dates. I'll click on right click on extend booking. I will see, okay, booking extension required is 8 hours. This current booking is 0. That means I have not been booked as of now. When we click on OK, you see this deficit is gone and my booking is done for those 40 hours. Earlier, this was 0. So this is one beautiful feature they have brought in over here. The only drawback here is, let's say if we just want to make a minor adjustment, let's say on 8th of April, I don't want to work for 8 hours. I want to work for 6 hours. That is an adjustment that you cannot do resource reconciliation in the resource reconciliation view. But we have a different view for that, and how to do that is something that I'm going to show it to you in some time. We have a next tab, which is a project estimate tab. Now this is, I'll give you with an example. One of the projects I was working with, the client asked me to share me how much amount of money or revenue he needs to book. That is going to be, he's going to be paying us by month. So I was thinking, where is the best place where I can go and give him this view of, and I found this beautiful view, which is project estimate. We can always select the time scale, whether it is week, month or day. And by month, we can always take a screen capture of this and send it out that you are required to pay this much amount or book this much of revenue in this month. And hence this view gives us a very good, estimate of what the project looks like in months. So this is giving for the sales. But if the project, we as a stakeholder, internally, we want to understand what is the costing that is going to be booked for this project. So this is a sales view, but we have a costs view also that is available. So we also can book that particular cost for this particular project internally in the organization. Right. Project tracking is another one good feature which says how much percentage of each task is over. And this comes by the amount of time that we book on the particular task. This comes from the time entry that we do on particular task. And upon approval by the project manager, this comes in, accrues as a progress on that particular task. At the moment, we haven't started on this project, hence the progress is 0. Otherwise the progress is increased over here. And the remaining hours is accordingly decreased. So you get a good effort tracking over here in the project tracking. All right, so next I said you can see a little messy view which is called a schedule board, but when you understand each and every part of it, you will love it. The feature is extremely beneficial. You remember we showed the resource reconciliation view where you could make the minor adjustments as to I want to do 6 hours today, not 8 hours, and all those kind of minor adjustments of allocations can be done by a schedule board. So schedule board is one place where you can do allocations for a particular project task wise. And that is something that we have done. Sorry.
Guys, kindly go on mute, except for some please.
Guys, it's a request. Please go on mute.
Okay. So the schedule board, I'll try to first explain the parts of it, how it looks. The center. Sorry guys, mute yourselves when you're not talking.
Mr. Sham, can you please go on mute? Thank you.
Okay. So in the center screen on the left hand side, you see the resources that are there in your organization. Here in the center, the colors that show are the allocations that have been done for the resources in your organization. The legends here below are the color shows that this is the committed and the hard booked resource. Proposed booking is also over here, and this gray color is a soft booking. Now, what is the committed and hard book? Means a project manager is committed that this guy will for sure work for 8 hours on these date on a particular project.
Kuldeep, are you sharing your screen?
I am.
Perfect. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
You guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And this green means the project manager says, I am proposing this resource on these days to be working on my project. It's not yet sure, so we might book him, but it's just a tentative proposal. But if any other project manager wants to book this particular resource on that day, he's still free to do that. Similar to the soft allocation. Soft allocation is when you feel that the project work is for sure going to be there, 90% going to be there. So let me allocate this guy over here. But you are 10% in dilemma. But then later on, when you feel all right, let's make them this allocation is hard. So you can convert these soft allocations into hard allocations right from here by right clicking on it. But again, the other project managers has the liberty to still allocate the resource if they are not hard booked. If they are proposed in soft book, any other project managers can take over that particular resources. The right pane shows if you select a resource and click on a particular day, this dotted line is that means you've selected a particular day and you're trying to allocate on a particular project tasks from the below pane, this project pane. Let's say I select development as a task. I select which date, what is a booking status that you want to do, hard or proposed or committed or soft booking. And there are booking methods in which you can book. So there are, let's say, couple of booking methods: full capacity, remaining capacity, percentage capacity, evenly distributed, and front load. So full capacity means, let's say in the work hour template, you remember work hour template where we define how many hours a person works, on which day he works and stuff like that. So we can book that particular as per his full capacity. Remaining capacity is self-explanatory. Let's say if out of 8 hours, he's booked for 4 hours. So he'll be booked for 4 hours. Remaining 4 hours. Percentage is, let's say if you want to book 10% of his day, we can always specify the percentage over here. Evenly distribute is, let's say if you select 5 days and we have 100 hours, we will say evenly distribute the hours between the days. So it is that. Front load is like you say you select number of days, and if there are 40 hours, it will start filling in each day by 8 hours, depending on what your work hour template looks like, and the remaining will be loaded on the last day. So this is how it is, depends on what needs of allocation you want to do. So yes, you can play along with that. So let's try to make a booking. I have Subhash Mato who I want to book from 15th of April to 19th. So I'll select him. I'll select the task from below, and that task is for 250 hours, but I'll do a front load of hours. So what happens is he's just booked for 8 hours. And as my work hour template said, I will not allow booking of more than 8 hours. So remaining are not yet booked, and the remaining hours come down to 210 over here. and you can see a message 40 out of 250 hours have been booked successfully on a project. This is about project scheduling. Now we move further with time and expense entry. What generally happens is when you are allocated in a project, you need to do the time entries in order to ensure that you are showcasing the right amount of time on a particular task that you have spent. This is not only just to showcase that you have spent the right amount of time, but it is also somewhere connected to the invoicing. And hence the time entries play a vital role in PSA. So for doing the time entry, we have a time entry entity that you need to log in on the in the project service app. Click on the time entries, and this is the grid that opens up. When you click on new, this is a quick create form that opens up. You select the date for which you want to do the time entry, the durations. Of course, it's a type of work that you have done, so let it be like that. You select the project, the task, and what role you played on that particular task. So this also plays a very vital role in terms of invoicing. Depending on this role, the invoice is calculated to the client. The description of what you worked on to is put over here. So you see two descriptions. One is a description that is internal description, and external is something that goes out to the client. And hence this is very important of what you put. So once you save and close this, you see those number of hours are come up over here. And likewise, you can do it for all the other days. Okay, this is a calendar view of how the grid view looks like. This was a grid view, and this is a calendar view. You can change the view from show as and look at calendar, but I love the grid view. There's another way which you can do. Let's say we saw a resource booking that is done for the resources to be worked on the project. So while doing the time entry, what we generally follow is we try to import the resource booking so that they can do the time entry of what they were allocated for and nothing else. So there is a feature here in PSA of importing those resource booking in the system. So you click here, import the resource bookings. It asks you from start date to end date. So we do a weekly time entry basically. And on one day we decide where we are going to be doing the billing. So on that day, we import all the allocations in the system. We select all the allocations that we want to import. And this is how it comes up on the screen. And one by one, we open up and put the comments in the system. So the time entries are filled. So once all of that is done, what we do is we select those time entries that we want to submit. And once that is selected, you click on submit button. So from the draft state, it goes into the submitted state. Now what happens is when the time entries are submitted, once the time entries are submitted, it goes in for the approval for project manager. So the project manager has a view and he can go under the approval entity, select the time entries that were submitted by the resources. And you can see the time entries are there over here and what role they have selected, the submitted hours are there. In case they want to approve or reject is onto them. If there is any mistake created by the resources, the project manager selects them and either approves or rejects them. All right, once it is there in rejection mode, the employee can be notified via workflows, which doesn't comes out of the box, and the resource can take care of it and then correct the time entries and resubmit for approval. Once the time entries are submitted, they go and get converted into an actual. What do I mean by actual is now that time entry and those hours are ready for invoicing to the customer. Up till now, we saw sales module, we saw the project management and resource scheduling, we saw the time entries done by the resources, and now we will see how all those goes into an invoicing module. So now comes the invoicing department, because all the time entries and efforts have been logged into the system, and how the invoicing department takes care of it. So now the invoicing comes in, invoice department comes in and first checks what is the billing method. Now, if it is a fixed price, what the invoicing department does is it goes onto the contract. Contract is one place where you will do the invoicing from. And why? Because all the billing methods, your amount of the contract, your invoicing schedule, and everything is maintained at the contract level, and hence the invoices all generate from your contract. So when you open the contract line, you see the invoice schedule. Let's say you select one invoice that you want, milestone that you want to invoice. You open that milestone. You select the invoice status from not ready for invoicing to ready for invoicing, and come back to the contract and click on create invoice button. You see this button? When you hit that button, you're automatically navigated to the invoice entity with the respective milestone amount. The total contract amount was this much. We have invoiced for this much. And all the contact information, the price list information, the billing address, and everything is driven off from the contract. The invoice number is generated. And yes, initially the project invoice is in draft state. The project, accounts manager can review it and then send it out. So hence the final stage is on the sent over here, and accordingly it should be managed as per the protocol set in the organization. So this is the invoicing, and hence we end the demo over here for PSA. Apologies, I'll take up the questions for PSA at the very end, and for everything I'll take up in the end because we feel we are falling short of time. So now we move to Scrum basically. Now, how come this Scrum came into picture? Because we as an organization use PSA along with Scrum, and Scrum is something that is upcoming. Nobody likes to see the entire project getting delivered in one shot and having 20,000 problems that brings up after the waterfall model is selected, and the end of the project we showcase that the project is either a failure or a grand success. We want to avoid all those things to come up. So what basic mantra of how to amalgamate agile project management with PSA is keep the project task normalized until, now what that until is, it does not disturbs the allocation and it does not creates a problem for the resource manager. Now what happens is, if we have a lot of tasks built in over here, we have a lot of allocations to be done in the system, and hence your resource manager struggles with allocating each and every resource on that particular task. So if it is a very long project and you have thousands of tasks, the resource manager's job become very difficult. So what we prescribe is you define your sprints over here in the schedule and put down those tasks in the sprint over here and keep them high level. Because any which ways, you are going to be maintaining the detail of what documentation looks like, buy and sale screen customization looks like in your Scrum project plan that I'm going to be showing it to you now. So it makes no sense to over manage these tasks, and it's creating problem for the resource manager also. So that is what I meant by not over doing the tasks over here. What does Scrum means? So in the Agile Scrum world, instead of providing complete detailed description of how everything is going to be done, means the entire project is done, we discuss smaller modules, smaller pieces of the project and develop them and take it to the delivery. The typical Scrum cycle, each sprint looks between 2 to 4 weeks. 2 is an apt time, 2 weeks is an apt time. But the maximum should be of 4 weeks. Otherwise, it is no longer a Scrum. It is something else. It also incorporates a Scrum manager from both the sides, from the delivery side and the client side, both, because it is an agreement and a commitment, not only from us, but it's a commitment from the client side also. Now, there are certain needs when we execute the project in a smaller deliverable modules and we want to do Scrum. Let's see what are the needs. We need to do shorter Scrum meetings, short Scrum meetings every day for 5 to 15 minutes to take the status updates of where the project is heading towards. People can also join remotely in that Scrum meeting. Meetings are only for resolving impediments. And in case there are any in-depth technical discussions required about those tasks, that is not the right forum to discuss in this Scrum meeting, and that should be taken offline. There is a Scrum Manager that is also required from the client side also. Now, what are the benefits? Client starts tasting the success from the early stage of the project. He doesn't have to wait actually for the entire project to get delivered. There is a continuous team momentum that is built during the entire course of the project. Manageable small pieces of deliverable, hence it is beautiful to execute in smaller pieces. Unlike waterfall, where the entire project was done and delivered to the client for testing, this is a chance where clients start passing on the feedback from the earlier stages itself, and then you have chance so as to protect your budgets, time on the project, and stuff like that. Well, that is the basic of what Scrum is. You can go in depth in Scrum and learn by yourself. And I would shout out to the Scrum Management course by Neil Benson. It's one of the good ones that I have been also going through. But then I can't go in detail in this session because we are falling short of time. This is the screenshot of what you can see is of Azure DevOps. That is a tool that I use to manage my Scrum activities and my Scrum projects. We have many tools in the market. Jira is one of the good examples which helps you manage your Scrum boards. And there are many other tools like Asana and so on and so forth. But I'm going to be showing you how I use in Azure DevOps is you log into your Azure DevOps environment and you can click on create new project. It's right behind this quick create screen that has come up. There is a button called create new project. You fill out your project name, the description of the project. Well, it is a private project, so your internal organization members will only see it, and only the ones who have been invited on the project will be able to see it. You can select the version control that you want to use. There is Git, there is Team Foundation Server at the moment, which are the version controls over here. And there are some processes that have been defined. So let's not get into it, but there is a Scrum that have been defined over here, which I will tell you in case there is some time available. So when you click on create button, your project is set right. And when you post that, what you do is you invite the team members. You click on invite and start typing the name of the people who are actually responsible to execute these projects. So I'll keep on inviting the team members. The team members are all invited over here and they show like this. Now to do some project settings, you click on the project settings, you go on the project configuration, and you click on create all your sprints right there. Each of your sprints will be visible in your sprint board like this. And you see your sprint start date, end date, and you can understand by the dates which one is a current sprint, which one is a past sprint. This is one of the examples of the sprint board, and this is the work item under which there are a lot of tasks that have been mentioned over here. Who's going to work on them? What are the task list looking like? And when you are defining your requirement document, you can always mention these numbers. So we all understand and relate, or your developer document depends where you want to mention these. But then you can always relate to these numbers to the tasks or what these guys are doing on, what is the status of these tasks and stuff like that. So you remember we had we discussed about the Scrum methodology that we have selected outside Cloudflare Scrum. In that, I have designed these swim lanes to move between to do. To do is somewhere when the new task is there. In progress is when the resource sees this is the task list and I want to pick it up from there. So you pick up one task from there. When the task is done, we put it to ready to move UAT, because sometimes you have to club all those tasks and then push it to put a solution in the UAT. And that is where you collect all those tasks over here, build a solution and then put it for UAT. UAT is where the client does the UAT off. Sign off achieved is when the clients do give us a sign off on all the tasks that they have tested out. Otherwise, if they find bugs, they can move it over here as a bug, and then the resource, depending on their availability, they pick up each task and then it moves between the lanes like that. Finally, when all the tasks have achieved the sign off, they pick it up and push it to the production. That is when your sprint ends. Basically, sprint ends means all the work items, all the tasks should be in the deployed to production. Well, you can actually change the column options based on your need. This was my need, and you can change as per your flow that you want to go with. And this is the column options you can click on and then define your columns over here. Well, this is a typical example of what the work item looks like when we click on it. This is the work item. This is going to be the owner of the work item. What is the acceptance criteria of that task? So unless we have the following task completed, this will not be accepted. What is the module start date, end date, and the priority of it, and so on and so forth are something that it looks like. This is a task in the work item, and this is the resource where it is assigned. What is the state of it? The Scrum meetings that happen every day are amended with the discussion comments over here. So we know every day what has been discussed. You can always attach your documentation and stuff like that over here. And you have an effort of that particular task that you can put it over here. You have development start date, development end date that is mentioned over here. So you can always add your fields also that you want. So like this UAT start date and UAT completion date doesn't comes out of the box. It has been put by me over here. So it is customizable. That means the DevOps is customizable, and hence I love this tool. Now, one beautiful feature that this DevOps tool has brought in with Teams is it is integratable with Teams, and you have a widget that you can add in Teams for DevOps. So it looks like that. And then, sorry, like that, you can see all your backlog items over here, what is in progress. And this is the Scrum board that is integrated in the Teams over here for one of the projects that we are executing. So it is added as one of the channel connected with the DevOps. You can always invite your clients also on the Teams just in case they use Teams. So we can invite them over here by clicking on add a member, and then yeah. Now what's coming new with PSA? PSA actually is sunsetting in a couple of months, and what comes up next is project operations. So by October, September, there is October, there is a new project operations that is coming in place. And why is that coming up? And why the name D365 project operations when project service automation sunsets? PSA has Dynamics 365 sales. It tried building project planning in PSA from scratch. Let's say we saw the schedule that we had seen that was there, the WBS that we brought in. So it was our try from PSA to build it from the scratch. Invoicing was built in from scratch and didn't have the complete features for accounting. So when you do invoicing, there are still more features that are required by the invoicing department to cater them. Now, what is projects operations doing? It is picking up Dynamics CRM sales module as it is. It is using MS Project Online as a tool, which is pretty matured and been used since ages by the project managers. So there was no need to build anything from the scratch. And we have all the functionalities that MS Project Online offers in one tool. And it is picking up invoicing and accounting module from finance and operations. So I don't know whether you guys know FNO, finance and operations. There is a beautiful feature of invoicing and accounting, which is available over there. So it is clubbing all the three modules, the best modules together, and hence it is known as project operations. It will be sold as a separate SKU, and the licensing is gonna is not yet disclosed. But yes, I just know that it's gonna be sold out as a separate SKU. What is the licensing cost and all will be disclosed later on, not now. Enhancements they are coming up with, what we saw in PSA. Apart from that, what is the enhancement they are bringing up is ability to split up billing for project contracts. So let's say for one project, there can be multiple contractors also that can share the invoice amount with. So there is no one customer, there can be multiple customer for which you are building a project and they can be set up on a particular project is something, and hence they can split up the billing percentages between themselves is a feature that they are bringing up over here. They are also coming up with a feature as to not to exceed limit for project contracts and quotations and enforce them during invoicing. They're also setting up the ability to set up billing and chargeability options for work breakdown structure. So it is not that the contract entire will be an FNB or TNM. They are telling that each line can be decided in the schedule, whether this task will be a fixed bid task or this task will be a TNM task. So that is an ability that they are defining now going further in project operations. Now, support for retainers on a project contract, meaning recurring, there are some invoices that are recurring invoices and needs to be billed every month or every 6 months or every quarter. So that support is no longer there in PSA at the moment, but it is going to be coming up with the project operations. So these are the features that are coming up as an enhancement in project operations.
Jiva, sorry to stop you. So we have 7 minutes left and we have around 8-9 questions. Just to remind you.
Just a minute and we are done. This is the last slide, I guess, on the deck, and then we are done.
Perfect. Thank you.
So this is a kind of Power BI report that we have developed in-house on project operations, but there is a similar view which they have already brought in a project operation that shows the amount of allocation each team member has in each week. So this is a beautiful view, and it shows by color coding how your company's health looks like. If it is red, that means you need more allocations. And if it is green, that means their team is already generating some revenue for you. If it is yellow, it is okay, but needs to be taken care of. But this view is already coming out of the box in project operations going forward. The public preview is announced in June 2020. That's all. And these are my contact details, of course, but then let me first entertain the questions. So Jiva, you want to start shooting one by one the questions at me?
Absolutely. Sure. So there was a question there are in fact 4 questions from Sachin. Let me go one by one. So okay. First question is opportunity in PSA is same as opportunity in sales module?
Yeah, so good question. Opportunity in PSA is same as opportunity in sales module, but you have a separate form. It's a project form that you will need to select from the opportunity module to cater to PSA needs.
Okay, and next question is from Kolawol. So where in PSA is VAT and discounts recorded?
So there is no VAT or discount that is at the moment present in PSA module in the invoicing, and hence project operations is picking up this concept from project operations, which might be available in October for our use. At the moment, it is not there. You can, of course, build the custom solutions for discounting and VAT based on your requirements. It is customizable, but not coming out of the box.
Okay, so there is a very common question. This is from Naresh Soni. So is this similar to job planning in Dynamics Navision or Business Central?
Job planning, I am not sure what job planning is basically in Navision. If you can elaborate a little on what is job planning and what it does.
So there is a separate feature in Navision and Business Central called Job Card. So where you can add resources and jobs very similar to what we have in the PSA. So I think that's what he meant.
So it is similar, but then I don't know whether it is really connected to your sales cycle, the project management cycle, and the invoicing cycle over there. Is it connected over there in Navision to all these cycles to invoicing and then time entry and expense entry?
Naresh Soni, if you want, you can.
It is connected to the invoicing also for the resource and also for the time entry, timesheets entry. Along with that, job planning is also used for the planning of the equipments and all those things. I think so in PSA, it is for more respect to the personal resource.
No, so here I chose an example to showcase for the resources, I mean developers and all that stuff. But here also you can do planning for your, other tools and equipments. Also, you can schedule them off.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is there a view where an EM can see consolidated view of forecast with actual from different projects under his or her portfolio?
So what it doesn't comes out of the box, and I showed you one view. I will have to go back and show you probably if this helps. Otherwise, what we have done in our organization is we brought those forecasted view built for ourselves. So as to get that view, just 1 second.
And we got more than 10 questions lined up. Would you want to take all of them, or you would like to address them offline?
We can always address them offline also. This is the estimated view that also know what is the forecast that might come up in the future, but there is no consolidated view for all the projects. This is just project wise that you will get it. But if you want to get that done, you can get it, get a Power BI report developed for yourself. That doesn't come out of the box.
Perfect, perfect.
All right.
So where do we define release scope in ADO? How to read burn-up chart from that?
Burnout chart is a concept that is available in your DevOps, and you can actually, when your task board is ready, you have put in all the efforts, you can actually get the burnout charts from there. I can show that to you. If this question, I don't know whose this question is from, you can always connect to me personally, and I'll show you how the burnout charts can be done.
This question is from Sachin. So he had another 4 questions also. I think Sachin can ask them together collectively offline.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there is one more. There is one from Manas join. So is there any integration of PSA with project service module in FNO? And I think there are similar questions also with that. So is PSA going to replace D365 project operations in future completely?
Yes, it is going to be replacing. There are 2 questions. First is I would like to answer. It is going to be replacing, but we have good amount of time that has been given by the project team, PSA team of, let's say, 2 years. Nothing is going to happen if you are enrolling with PSA, but I would recommend you wait till October, even if you are thinking to enroll on PSA, because then if you are not enrolled, you should enroll on the project operations is what my advice would be.
Okay.
And
so
the second question was, sorry, there is no integration between PSA and the project operations that comes out of the box, but you can do that using the CDS tool that comes.
So, and there's one question from Yukesh Kumar. So is there any out-of-box integration between Azure DevOps and PSA?
No, that's a good question, and everybody is asking for it. Then you can use flows to develop your own integration between the PSA and Azure DevOps. It's very simple flows that are coming, and as soon as you create your tasks, you can always get it integrated in the Azure DevOps, and that's the beauty why I'm using DevOps.
Yeah. And 2 questions from Vikar. So can we share with users to make their respective timesheet data? I don't know what we share.
Data is enter the timesheet data, or how is it you're asking? Basically, I'm not clear. Can you clarify?
I think he's asking about sharing the Vikar. If you want, you can unmute and ask the question.
Hi, I was saying that the resources will be able to log in and do the timesheet of their own respective task. Is it possible?
Yes, they can do that. And if your resources are just meant to do the time entry, the licensing in fact is pretty much lesser. It comes for just $10 per license, which is a user license.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are already running out of time. So last question for the session. Whichever questions, there are only just 1 or 2 more. So can we plot Gantt chart from PSA? That's from Vikar as well.
Can we plot Gantt charts from PSA? Is yes, we can plot Gantt chart. There is a connectivity that comes to project online services from the Gantt chart. You can connect over there and utilize all the services of MS Project Online at the moment also.
Perfect. Last question for the session from Emad. So any idea about PSA future release for project service automation in October?
So they are releasing the patches. Honestly, they are not focusing much on PSA at the moment, but yes, there are some bugs because they need to support for another 2 more years the product as they promised for the existing customers. They are building out patches as and when required, but they are not releasing any enhancement to the product at the moment, is what I can say.
Sweet. So I think we have addressed all the questions, Kuldeep. So thanks for your wonderful session. The guys are very much excited and there are lots of questions. I think you might be getting questions offline also. And thanks for that. I really appreciate it.
So again, these are my contact details. You can always contact me and get in touch. And then, yeah, if I can be of any help, let me know. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Kuldeep. So guys, so I'm just gonna